Good day everyone, I am teacher Aldrin Ruby W. Button and I am from University of Mindanao. And welcome to the subject BPE213, which is the traditional Filipino games. So in this content or in this video, I'll discuss what is traditional game, what are those traditional games, what are the mechanics, rules, equipment needed, and the benefits of the traditional Filipino games. So without further ado, let's get started.
Bawat bata may tanong,
ba't ganito? Ba't ganon?
hayaang buksan ang isipan.
Sa science o agham, tayo na sa sineskwela. Tuklasin natin ang siyensya.
Buksan ang pag-iisip,
Tayo'y likas na scientist. Tayo na sa sineskwela. Tuklasin natin ang siyensya. Kinabukasan ng ating bayan, siguradong makakamtan.
So what is Filipino traditional game? Filipino traditional games are games that being played by the Filipino kids with the use of native instrument or materials. In spite of having limited resources of toys, Filipino don't lose the joy of childhood because of the games being developed by their Filipino ancestors. It improves that they were very resourceful and creative in inventing the concept of larong Pinoy, which is still alive to this generation even though the new and modern forms of entertainment such as computer and foreign games nowadays have taken over the interest of the young. A majority of Filipino children still play the Filipino street games in part of the country, in urban and rural areas alike. Games such as patintero, tumbang preso, piko, sipa, trumpo, and many others are still greatly alive and played daily in the neighborhoods by children after school or during free time and weekends. Since we know what is traditional Filipino games, let us know on how to play on it. So without further ado, let's get started.
So first is the luksong baka. There are no materials needed in this game. Players alone can perform the game. The mechanics. At start of the game there should be one player called taya. The player should avoid contact or failing over the baka player while jumping over. The baka player should start with a bend kneeling position. All players are to jump over the baka until the players have jumped. The rules. The players should avoid touching or falling over the baka player while jumping over. The baka player should start with a kneeling down position. The baka player bent over with their hands placed on his knees. Players are jump over the baka until players have jumped. So the benefits of the luksong baka is improves agility and the strength to jump higher.
So the second one is the luksong technique. It doesn't require materials in this game. Sleeper can be used to increase the level of difficulty of the game. The mechanics. Two players serve as the base of the technique or turn by putting their right or left feet together, so touching gradually, building the technique. A starting point is set by all the players, giving enough runway for the players to achieve higher jump as soon not to hit the technique. Players of the other team start jumping over the technique, followed by the other team members.
So the benefits of the game is to become physically active and social and to build strong camaraderie with their neighborhood.
The third one is the Bahay Kubo. There is no materials needed in this game. Bahay Kubo, a hand-clapping game generally involving four people. They are split into two pairs, a pair having two people facing each other, and all members from both pairs facing the center, the two pairs being perpendicular to each other. Each pair then does a hand-clapping routine while singing the Bahay Kubo. At the middle of the song, each pair exchange routines with the other. So the benefits of this game is to have a proper coordination or enhanced proper coordination of the body. The fourth traditional game is the buwan-buwan. Buwan-buwan is a traditional Filipino game that enacts the lunar eclipse. Players draw a circle on the ground representing the moon and must stay inside the circle. Meanwhile, one player acts as the pakunawa. the mythical giant sea serpent who would eat the moon. He may not enter the circle but must touch another player who is inside in order to switch places.
The benefit of this is that it improves agility of the player. So the fifth traditional Filipino game is the Holland. Marble is the needed materials in this game. The mechanics. The mechanics of the Holland is this game is where players should hold the ball called Holland in their hand, then throw it to hit the player's ball out of the playing area. Whoever the most obtained marbles wins the game. Players or manlalaro can also win the game by eliminating their opponents by aiming and hitting his marbles. Players need to be accurate to win this game. So the benefit of this is to have a flexibility of the player.
The sixth traditional game is the sangkayaw. The materials needed in the sangkayaw is the pair of coconut shells, rope, or tali. Each team is composed of 10 to 12 players. At the given signal, the first players of each team walks in with his coconut shells towards his goal line. Upon reaching the goal line, he turns around with his tilt and returns to the starting line. The second, third, and fourth up to the last player will do the same. The first team to finish the race wins. A team whose player walk for more than 2 steps after a fall will be disqualified. A team whose players falls twice is disqualified. So the benefits of this is that it improves muscular strength and endurance of the players. The seventh traditional game is the Tombang Preso. The equipment of Tombang Preso is that empty can, sleepers, or pamato. So the mechanics of the Tombang Preso is that Taya is obligated to catch another player to take over their position of running after a team that keeps from throwing away by the strike of the players. Nevertheless, the Taya is the only privilege to do so only if the players is holding on their way a pamato and when they think is only upright position. Hence, running after another players is keeping an eye to the tin can position. As for the players, they have their whole time striking the tin can and running away from the taya, keeping themselves safe with their pamato since making the tin fall down helps another players from recovering. Instances like having everyone had their turn over is the biggest climax of the game that leads them to the panic since the taya has all the rights to capture whether their players have hold their pamato or not. However, mechanics also give sides privileges. With the roadway or street as the area of being performed, the taya takes its place. One side held the tin centered on the ground, while on the other ends bound by the line that limits the player when throwing. Breaking rules of the players gives way for the taya to have their overturn, like stepping on the outside the boundary line when throwing, kicking the tin, striking the tin without having oneself reaching the line, or even touching it.
The next one is the kadang-kadang. The equipment needed is 2 pieces of woven steel with a step ladder, the height of which is 30.48 cm from the ground. The principle of the game is to walk on steel from a starting line to finish line. The length to be traveled is 100 meters. The next one is the palosebo. The materials needed in the palosebo is the 10 meters bamboo pole, small bag, and grace. Mechanics of the game palosebo is that contestants try to climb the pole in turns to secure the prize, and anyone who fails to reach the top is disqualified. The winner is the one who succeeds in reaching in and tying the prize or retrieving the flag. So the benefits of this is that improves the muscular strength and endurance of the player.
So the next one is the agawan ng base. The materials needed in the agawan ng base is that stones, sleepers, trees, and etc. used for their base markers. The mechanics of the agawan ng base is that there will be 2 bases. Each base has equal members. Mark your base with the base markers. Assign a member to guard your base. To capture the opponent, you must tag them. To capture the opponent will be the team prisoner. To steal the base of the opponent and win, you must touch their base.
So the benefits of this is that to improve stamina, agility, and muscular endurance.
The next one is the 2020. The materials needed in the 2020 is that the garter, and the mechanics of the game is that one pair faces each other from a distance and has a garter stretched around them in such a way that a pair of parallel lengths of a garter is between them. The members of the other pair then begin doing jumping routine over the garters while singing a song 10, 20, 30, and so on until 100. Each level begins with the garters and ankle weight and progresses into the higher position, with the players jumping numbly on the garters while doing their routines. The next one is the sipa. The equipment of the sipa is the washer, rattan ball. The washer is the shuttlecock-like flat lead with the flyer. The rattan ball is made of rattan strips and woven to form a ball. So the mechanics of the game is that sipa is similar to the Western game hockey soccer. Sipa is also played professionally by Filipino athletes with a woven ball called sipak takraw, with the game rules borrowed from Indonesia. The next one is the shato. Two ticks are used to play to this game. One is about 2 feet long and the other one is about half foot long. A small hole in the ground is made where the smaller stick will be placed at the end of the bottom and the other end sticking out. So the mechanics of the game is the player will hit the smaller stick with the longer one so that the smaller stick flies to the air. At the mid-air, the player then hits again the smaller stick with the longer one. This is repeated 3 times. Whoever hits it the farthest distance wins the game. As a punishment, the loser will be forced to shut out with shato without interruption while running back to the original starting place.
The next one is the patentero. The materials needed in the patentero is the water or tubig, chalk, charcoal, or tape to create lines in the ground, and whistle and stopwatch to set the time.
The mechanics of the game. Each team is composed of 4 players. Winning the toss entitles the players on the team to be runners. The taggers stand 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 1 can go anywhere to tag the runners. Taggers 2, 3, and 4 tag the runners as they cross the lines or as they get near them. As soon as one of the runners crosses line 4, he returns to the line 2 and call out "too big," a point scored in favor of his team. The runners must score a clean pass within 2 minutes, otherwise the turnover will be called. In tagging, the taggers must have both feet on the line. If the runner is tagged while crossing a line or while trying to cross, the teams exchange places. The team with the highest points after 3 turnovers wins the game. And after 3 turnovers and nobody has been declared as a winner, 2 turnovers will be added to the game for the total of 5. The next game is the taguan. There is no materials needed in taguan. The mechanics of the game is that decided your group who is the first 8 or the taya. The 8th person gets to decide events and from there, he or she closes her eyes while counting to 60. By that time, other player must find a place to hide. After the countdown, the 8 or taya person will find the other players. If he should repeat players, he or she shout the name of the person seen. Then the person will be the next taya or 8. Hiding players can save themselves by touching the base one. The 8th person is looking. Once they save themselves, they cannot be called. The next one is the tug of war. The materials needed in the tug of war is that long hard rope, and the mechanics of this is that an equal number of players pick up each end of the rope. The players begin tagging the rope when the referee gives the signal. Each players pull backwards as hard as they can. The team continue pulling until the center of the rope or tape mark closes where the referee is standing. The game ending when the referee declares one team has successfully pulled the past the center. The benefits of this is that improves the strength of the player.
The next one is the pico. The materials needed in the pico is the chalk for marker and flat stone for the pamato. The mechanics of the game is that the players decide which part of the box they have to throw the pamato. Usually a stone or small ball to whoever successfully throws and retrieves it wins the game. The benefits of this is that improves the balance of the player. The next one is the luksong lubid. The materials needed in the luksong lubid is stretch, garter, or jumping rope. The mechanics of the game is that 2 people will hold both ends of the rope, while the rest of the players are found in the single line. One player must go in and play first. The rest of the players will follow of what the players did. They should keep jumping until the song ends.
Buksan ang pag-iisip. Tayo
The next one is the trompo. The materials needed in the trompo is the trompo. The mechanics of the game is that it can be played by the group or single player only in the form of exhibition. Exhibition is done by spinning it into flat surface by observing how the duration and the quality of the spinning. The crankot, if the spinning is not balanced, make it easy to stop and makes irregular movements. Matining, if the spinning of the trompo is smooth and will take longer time to stop. Another exhibition is to by throwing the trompo in the air and catching it with your palm and with the tansan. The next one is the langit and lupa. There is no materials needed in this game. The mechanics of the game is very simple. The it is the one who is going to chase off the players while in the game. Is not allowed to chase and tag a player who is mounting on the climber above the lupa or ground level. Each player from the ground level can be chased and tagged by the it or taya. If the it was able to tag them while on the ground, then the tag player will go to replace the position of the it or taya. Therefore, each player within the ground must run as fast as they can and find another climber to save themselves from being the next it.
bawat bata may tanong.
Ba't ganito? Ba't ganon?
Hayaang buksan ang isipan.
Sa science o agham, tayo na sa siniskwela. Tuklasin natin ang siyensya.
Buksan ang pag-iisip.
Tayo'y likas na scientist. Tayo na sa siniskwela. Tuklasin natin ang siyensya. Kinabukasan ng ating bayan.
The next one is the ubusan ng lahi. There are no materials needed in it. The mechanics of ubusan ng lahi is that one tries to conquer the members of the group as in claiming the members of another clan. The tag player from the main group automatically becomes an ally or the tagger. The more players, the better. The game will start with only one it and then try to find and tag another players. Once one player is tagged, they will then help to tag the other players until no other particular is left. Some people also know this as a bansa o lipunan. If a lot player are 5 to 10.
The next one is the saranggola. The materials needed in the saranggola is the kite with the long string. The mechanics of the game is that in this particular game, players would attempt to inflict damage on their opponent's kites by cutting their kites. Strings.
Siguradong makakamtan.
Kaya habang maaga,
Mag-aral ng siyensya sa teknolohiya. Ang buhay ay gaganda. Tayo na sa siniskwela. Tuklasin natin ang siyensya.
buksan ang pag-iisip.
Tayo'y likas na scientist. Tayo na sa siniskwela. Tuklasin natin ang siyensya. Kinabukasan ng ating bayan. Siguradong makakanda.
Sa siniskwela, tuklasin natin ang siyensya.
Daigdig ay sasaya.
The next one is the sungka. The materials needed in the sungka is sungka, marbles, and stone. Sungka is played with a wooden board with the 7 smaller dips or holes on each side and 2 bigger holes on the either side and shells for stones. The premise of the game is collect more shells than your opponent. Those traditional games help me to teach and mold young minds to develop their full potential in certain skills and to have a better future. And also, as a future PE educator, it helps me to promote and revive those traditional games. Especially nowadays, children indulge in technology and practice sedentary lifestyle. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching.